This video is a record of some of the birds that I've seen on a cruise around the Caribbean and Central America in 2018. Some of the places that I birded whilst I was on this cruise were Jamaica, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, and Cozumel, a small island off the coast of Mexico. One of the places that I've long wanted to go birding was Costa Rica, and it so happened that the first stop on this cruise was at the port of Porto Limon, which is close to the Paraguay rainforest. So I had in advance arranged to meet a guide at the forest when we got there. So accordingly, I organised a taxi when we arrived at the port to take me up to the port so that I could meet the guide up there. As I got out the taxi, the first bird I managed to see was a Montezuma or a pendola, and its rather strange nest, which you can see now. Here is a photograph of the bird that I've just mentioned, the Montezuma or pendola. Once I arrived at the reserve, the first creature that I noticed within the confines of the reserve was something that I'd long wanted to see, which is a three-toed sloth. The first bird that I managed to photograph whilst in the reserve was this slaty-tailed trogon. The next bird that I managed to photograph was this broad-billed motmot. The next bird that I managed to photograph was this dot-winged ant wren. Whilst the birding lived up to my expectations, the opportunity to take photographs was very limited due to the conditions within the rainforest. Very low light and very difficult to see birds and photograph them through the leaf cover. The next stop was in Panama, where I had arranged for a guide to meet me off the ship to take me birding down the famous Pipeline Road. The first sighting we had once we reached the Pipeline Road was this white-nosed coati. Again, photography was very difficult due to the light conditions, with the first bird that I was able to take a photograph of being this white-tailed trogon. The trogon sighting was very quickly followed by a playful group of howler monkeys. The next place the guide took me to was a really dark place in an offshoot of the forest where we found the American pygmy kingfisher. The next bird that I managed to photograph was this tiny hawk, which I'm led to believe is quite rare in Panama. We then managed to see a yellow-headed caracara, which was quickly followed by a southern rough-winged swallow. The next port of call was Jamaica, where I wanted to go up to Rockland's Bird Sanctuary up in the mountains. But before I organised a taxi to take me there, I had a quick walk around the area surrounding the port and saw the following birds. Once we completed the long drive from the port up to Rocklands, we started birding, and I must say that the birding was some of the best birding that I've ever had in my life, as you will know through the following photographs. The red-billed streamer-tails were so tame that they even sat on my wife's hand while she fed them. Amongst the birds I recorded were Jamaican oriole, white-chinned thrush, Jamaican woodpecker, Jamaican parrot, and best of all, northern potoo. After we'd finished in Rockland, the taxi driver took us down to one of his friends who had a boat with a promise to take us down a mangrove creek. The birding was really good, specifically when we saw the Amazon kingfisher, but was rather disconcerting when we seen this rather menacing-looking caiman heading towards us. Whilst we were at sea between ports, we would regularly see brown boobies and mass boobies chasing the flying fish that the ship had disturbed. As we got closer to land, what would start to happen is that we'd see the odd royal tern. Brown pelicans would come into view as we were actually in the port, and regularly around the port we would see squadrons of magnificent frigate birds loitering about. As we approached Cartagena, I noticed the laughing gulls that you see in the photograph here, just sitting around on the pier. Whilst we were in Cartagena, whilst we didn't see a great deal of birds, the greater-tailed grackle was seen, as was the tropical kingbird, the eared dove, and the common ground dove.